Hello, all, and welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. It is Tuesday, and it is hot as you know what in the good old DMV, Northern Virginia area. I don't know where you guys are, but it is registering 100 degrees. And if you're in the Southwest and the West Coast, I know that's hot, but it's not East Coast swampland hot. So, can't wait to get on the West Coast because I'm ready for the dry heat, and I'm tired of the swampy heat, if you know what I mean. Anyways, hopefully you guys are having a good and productive week with you and yours. Today I want to talk about an article that I read the other day, and it's called "Where Millennials Are Moving to Throughout the United States of America." And it was actually interesting because there's a lot of cities that even places I never even heard of that people are moving to in the millennial age range. People, especially people that are just starting their families, and they the title of the hustle and bustle of a lot of the major cities around the United States, and and a lot of things that millennials are facing. This is obvious. They talk about it in the media all the time, on Facebook, and Twitter all the time. The student loan crisis, and the thing that's not talked about a lot, though, they talk about that a lot because it is pretty bad. But they talk about the credit card debt crisis at the same time, and that's another thing that the article mentioned, which I was happy about because a lot of times, to me, the media doesn't really mention that. The credit card crisis is insane because a lot of people, they can't live without their credit cards, meaning that they can't pay their bills, meaning they can't eat, put gas in the car, pay insurance, whatever, without their credit cards. So it's a real hard thing. But it's very interesting that they're moving to these specific areas. I mean, I remember, and remember, not talking about politics here. I'm just talking about economics, on the state of the millennial generation, my generation. That's what I want to talk about, the parts of the country, because they're leaving places like New York City, obviously one of the most expensive cities in the United States. Los Angeles, my favorite city in the United States. People are leaving. Miami and Washington D.C. Are becoming ranked the most expensive cities throughout the United States of America. Don't have to take my word for it. Please do your own research. And they're moving to specific places like, let me make sure I get this right. And by the way, the name of the article was Where the Millennials Are Moving to in the United States, but it's from Realtor.com. That's where I got it from. Please look it up if you want to. It was actually a pretty good read. Quick, to the point kind of read, my kind of read, but it was a good read. So the cities that they're actually moving to is, where is it at? So they're moving to Appleton, Wisconsin, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Ithaca, New York, Provo, Utah, Duluth, Michigan, Lincoln, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Oh, there's two more. Evansville, Indiana, and Lafayette, Louisiana. So I was just like, wow, it was pretty. Most of those places I've never even heard of, and a lot of them I have heard of, but most of these places I haven't heard of. And another reason why they're moving to these places that are obviously cheaper to live is because unless you're for a lot of people with the student loan crisis, a lot of people are just getting degrees in areas that are just not really relevant anymore. And I always say, if you're not getting a degree to be some sort of a scientist, engineer, lawyer, IT specialist, then, for the most part, getting a degree for a lot of people is just not in your best interest. It's like you're not getting a specific skill set. I mean, I'm not trying to talk bad about somebody, but if you're getting a degree in philosophy, there's enough philosophy teachers out there. You can study philosophy on your own time and get yourself a skill that's going to pay you a lot more money and give you more of a guarantee to get you a job, give you a job, or possibly develop your own business, or even do both. It gives you a lot more of those opportunities for you to take advantage of. But a lot of times people get degrees in these fields, and a lot of times I think if you're going to do something like that, get a skill set first, so you can at least make a living for yourself, and then get a degree in humanities, liberal arts, things of that nature. I don't see anything wrong with that. Hey, I think more people should focus more on skill sets than getting a degree. You could always go back and get a degree later. I know the old saying is, if you don't get a degree while you're in your early 20s, then you're never going to do so. That's complete, you know what? Come on now, let's be realistic about it. I've met people in the 60s and 70s getting a degree, going back to school, getting educated. And in today's society, skill sets change because of technology changes things and jobs get offshored, and et cetera, and so forth. And it's got nothing to do with who the president is or the governor of your state is. It's just, it's always, everything in life is always a competition. Everything's a sport. And what do? You're playing to win. If you lose some, fine. You win some, even better. If you even tie, that's fine. But that's what life is. That's what America is. It's a competition. You got to be ready to compete with people and not sit on the sidelines complaining, because all complainers do is complain. That's it. But that's just my personal opinion on that. You can have your own. So, and then bear in mind another thing. When it comes to the economy, like I said, once again, no matter who the president is, the economy has always been put in place to benefit big business and small businesses. Why? Because they are the quote unquote job creators. Okay, it's not, you don't have to take my word for it. Please do your own research. But big businesses and small business owners, they benefit from it. Especially from a tax perspective, they get a lot more tax write-offs than somebody that has 10 children. Something to think about, because you're not only contributing to the economy, but you're contributing way more to yourself because you've become some sort of an owner. But I digress. Let me get back to the article, because I can go off on a tangent about that all day, and I'm usually pretty good about staying on script, but I'm going to keep it on topic. So back to the article about millennials moving to different specific cities, and then obviously other cities I failed to mention, San Diego, San Francisco. The people are being priced out of these cities. Regular working people. The cities are becoming essentially a place for the well-to-do. Even some people would argue even New Orleans, in Atlanta, is becoming like that now. As far as the price of rent, people are being priced out of those cities now. That's a city in the South. Houston, Texas, another one. People are considering expensive. Dallas, Texas, some part people would consider that expensive, unless you're moving from L.A. to New York, then that's not expensive. But a lot of people that's considered to be expensive. So people are being priced out of places. So that's why the saying from Andre Hatchett, "Own to be owned," is real. If you don't own the property or you don't own the business, you have a good chance of being priced out of someplace, or a job being shipped off someplace, automated. Robotics, the list goes on and on. So own to be owned, I'm with that. I love Andre Hatchett saying, I'm not stealing his thunder, I'm quoting him. Andre Hatchett saying, own to be owned. It's just a way of life. But back to the article, because I always say, because then another thing that the article mentioned about, the cost of living, is much cheaper in those cities that I mentioned earlier. But here's another thing to bear in mind. If you have bad spending habits and you have no financial intelligence, you could live in the cheapest, smallest town in the planet or in the country, and if you don't, you might have a little bit more money to spend as far as buying extra fancy gadgets and crap that doesn't mean anything after you buy it. The fancy cars and all this other, and fancy clothes and jewelry. You're just making somebody else rich. So that gives you the opportunity to do that if your same salary follows you from when you left New York, Los Angeles, or DC. That's another thing to bear in mind. If you have terrible spending habits, you're going to be broke in New York, and you're going to be just as broke in Kalamazoo, Michigan, because you're going to have the incentive and the mindset to, I got more money, so I'm going to buy more. That's the whole thing. If you have no financial control and no financial intelligence, and you don't know how to save money and make and invest money so money can work for you while you sleep, or while you're at work, etc., and so forth, then you're going to be in the same position no matter whether you're living in Mississippi or whether you're living in New York City. And if you want to argue me on that point, that's fine. But hey, it's like I said, financial intelligence is real. And if you don't want to buy into it, that's your business, But according to the article on Realtor.com, millennials bought 36% of the homes in 2017 within the United States of America. Another 65% went to the first home buyers course, so that they could get educated on purchasing the first home and, having more of a pleasant home buying experience, because, obviously when it comes to anything without education, you're doomed to fail, and you have another crash like you did in 2007, where they giving anybody a freaking loan to get a house. They didn't even have a job. No credit check, no nothing. It's ridiculous, but that's just my personal opinion. And since millennials, a lot of millennials, they love to live in the major city. Hey, if I was filthy sticking rich, I'd have myself a little not a one bedroom apartment, but I'd have myself a little efficiency apartment in downtown Los Angeles, overlooking the mountains and overlooking the beautiful Pacific Ocean. It's a little bit of a tidbit goal of mine for me to shoot for, but hey, that's a personal goal. Everybody has their own thing. I love the city life. A lot of people love the city life. It just depends on what kind of lifestyle you're trying to live for yourself, and if you have a family, majority of the time families, unless they're filthy stinking rich, they're not going to reside in the city. You know, they want to live out in the suburbs and look at the stars and the moon and hear the crickets at night, all that beautiful stuff. But so since a lot of millennials can't afford to live in the major cities, they're moving to places like that. You know, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Ithaca, New York. I was surprised about Ithaca, New York, and Provo, Utah. Only part of Utah I'm really familiar with is Salt Lake City. Nice town. Can't wait to go back. Duluth, Michigan. Never heard of it. Lincoln, Nebraska. Heard that's an up and coming city. You know, Des Moines, Iowa. I guess a lot of people want to get back to the basics, the small town lifestyle. I've been to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Wasn't really impressed. You know, Evansville, Indiana. I've only been to Indiana once, and I was in the major city. And Lafayette, Louisiana, never been, but you know, I understand. You know, it's all about people's lifestyles, and a lot of times it's just really about where people can afford to live. I get that, but if these people don't have financial intelligence, in a sense, they are doomed. You know, you just have to bear in mind. You know, I'm talking about millennials with families. You know, and at the end of the day, yeah, it does depend on your lifestyle. And then another thing, those cities that I mentioned, a lot of them have good public schools. The public school ratings are great because most people can't afford private school. Commute ranges from 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know where you all live at, but in the DMV where I live at, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, having a 20-minute to 15-minute commute is like being able to walk to work because it takes you that long sometimes just to get to the gas station, no matter where you live at. You could be in the city or outside of the city. It's just because this area is so overpopulated. There's just so many people that it's just so hard to get around, and you have to go at specific times. The average commute here is 45 minutes, and that's considered a good commute. A lot of people, commutes for them is 2 to 3 hours going to work, coming and going from work. So by the time they get home, their day is over with. All they want to do is come home, take a shower, eat, and go to bed. Not much of a lifestyle in my personal opinion, but a lot of people love it. To each his own. You even have people that come from Pennsylvania and West Virginia to get to work in Northern Virginia or DC. Don't know how they do it. I can't do it. Personal opinion though. So a lot of people want that small town atmosphere. Nothing wrong with that. They're tired of the hustle and bustle of the city, and they feel like by living in these towns, it will enhance the quality of life, and especially the quality of life of their family members. I get it. But at the end of the day, before I end this off, this is just a little short video. If your money's not right when you're living in the expensive city or expensive suburb, and you're not continuously educating yourself on financial intelligence, then your money will not be right when you move to a less expensive place. You'll just have more stuff. Now, that's great for the economy because we live in a consumer spending economy. That's great. But at the end of the day, you're just going to have a bigger house with a lot more stuff and a lot less assets, just liabilities. I was quote from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. You want to have either as many assets as you do liabilities, or you definitely, in my personal opinion, you want to have more assets than you do liabilities. So financial education is real, and the beautiful thing about it is you can self-educate. So hopefully you guys like the video. If you guys are thinking about moving to those specific cities, or if you've been to those cities, please comment in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Thank you for all my loyal subscribers that are out there, and give the video a thumbs up, and hope you guys have a great day. And if it's smoking hot outside, if you don't have to go out there, please don't. Take it easy.